Okay, welcome parents. Welcome to Academy of the City Charter Schools um, uh, Curriculum Nights, sixth grade course. We have a fun night for you all planned out. I'm again Mr. Lin. I'm the grade six ELA teacher. We have lots of speakers here tonight, and you'll hear all about your children's classes and courses and everything, all the happenings. Okay, let me just let in Miss. Okay, so let me now go to the second slide. Parents, if you have questions, please feel free to ask me verbally using the mic or the chat as well. Okay. Let me just right now let some more people in. Okay. Oh, can I? Hmm. Give me a second. Oh, here it is. Sorry. Okay. So we have the grading criteria over here. Every teacher in the school uses the same grading criteria. It's classwork and projects, 40%. Assessment, that's tests and quizzes, 35%. Professionalism is 5%. That's more so about behavior and bringing supplies. Participation, 10%. And also homework is also 10% as well. Okay. Are there any questions to the grading criteria before I move on? Okay. So here's the school's universal late homework policy, right? Homework is given in order to solidify the skills that we are learning in class. Okay. Pretty much it reinforces the skills that they learn. Okay. And homework gives students another opportunity to review class material and gives parents, okay, a chance to go see what's being learned in school. Okay. Finally, homework teaches students how to go take responsibility for their part in the educational process. Okay. And down below, over here, it's very important. There is the lateness policy on homework. If anything is 1 to 2 days late, there's no penalty on the grades, but the teacher will have a talk with the students. If it's 3 to 5 days late, for each day late, it'll be about 5 points off the grade. If it's 1 week late, no more than a 75 on the assignments. 2 weeks late, no more than a 50, and 2 or more weeks late on assignments, up to the teacher's discretion if they will accept the work and give the grade of less than a 50. Okay. Are there questions on the homework? Anyone? Okay, pretty right, self-explanatory.
Yes, I
Go
have a
ahead.
question.
Yes.
About the homework that they give them every week, like, or every class they have homeworks. And how do we know that you give a actual paper for homeworks, or do you send it by, in the Google Classroom?
I think every teacher is different, so I can only speak for myself. I use the Chromebook, so if students have a homework, then I try to go and print out for them because I know that not every student has access to a Chromebook. So I try to have the students really finish the work in class, and if need be, then I will go and provide for them the handout or worksheets. Okay, Mr. J, do you want to go and talk about your policy on homework?
Yeah, I can start my section because then I'm gonna have to run to seventh grade.
Okay, yep, no problem. Okay, all right. So because Mr. J and Mr. D'Angelo have to leave very soon, I'm gonna basically let them talk. Okay. All right, Mr. J, you're up.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mr. J. The kids call me Mr. J. It's short for Jessamy. It's my 18th year teaching. I've worked in Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Queens in both district and charter. I've taught kindergarten to third and fifth grade to seventh grade, living in Queens for 17 years. And this is year number 8 at AOC. Expectations, jump right into. Students are expected. Can you mute yourself, please? Whoever's unmuted, whichever parent. Thank you. Students are expected to check Google Classroom for updates and announcements and projects, whatever is on there. Not all homework from my class will be on there. It's going to alternate between paper and Google Classroom assignments in my class every other week. Students have to come to class prepared with their planner once they arrive to the school. A highlighter, a folder, pencil, something to write with, and the reading material. There are textbooks in the classroom. However, students all now have their logins for the history textbook on Google Classroom. They have to sign in using the McGraw-Hill. If your student needs their login info, please let me know and I will provide it. I take participation and professionalism very seriously during the class discussions. History is all about debate and argument and learning how to speak, and that's very important. So these activities are going to be graded highly according to the rubric that Mr. Lin just presented to you. The work needs to be in class. Whatever is not done in class, unless I say otherwise, needs to be done by the next class. Okay? Homework will be written on the board when students come in and any reminders that they are to put in their planner. So to answer the parents' question, that's how students will understand what it is that they have to do. Any questions so far? Okay, can you move on?
Yeah, I have a quick question. Sorry. Good evening. So that means that the homework, some of the homework has to be done at the computer, not every single homework, because you will hand out some of the homeworks in paper, right?
Right. But students will know whether or not it's on paper, or whether like in the first day of the week, they're gonna know if it's gonna be a paper week or on the on Google Classroom. Does that make sense?
I have a
Yes,
question
thank you.
to Mr. J when you get a minute.
Sure.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So I'm Lorenzo's mom, by the way, Michelle. I had a chance to go over today his Google Classroom because I was wondering what was going on with the homework, as in the PowerPoint access that we as parents have. I see that stuff is already being graded, and he had maybe one or two assignments that were half incomplete or not submitted. So they are responsible themselves to be looking at Google Classrooms for their assignments, and when they're due, do they need to post them on Google Classroom or do they need to hand it in personally?
It's depending on whether or not it's paper. So if it's paper, there are two hand-in baskets in the classroom.
Mhm.
And they're labeled, or they're going to be labeled tomorrow morning. I have to update my labels in the classroom. And those are for the hand-in baskets. On Google Classroom, it's going to post, I usually post it by Sunday night for the week, if it is a Google Classroom week. What's been happening so far is the even weeks are classroom and the odd weeks are on paper as of right now.
Okay, and if a student is so forth absent or something, do we need to reach out to you or do you just give the assignment to him the next day or do they have to ask for it or figure it out on their own?
So if it's on Google Classroom, I would say to check. I'm not going to ask a student to do that kind of work when they're sick. If the parent sends like an email or a phone call to the office and we as a teacher get a notification saying my student is out of school because of family emergency or illness or whatever, then it can be excused. I
Oh,
personally excuse that. But if, a student misses a day and we get no communication, it's not an excused absence, which means the student is responsible for it.
okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem.
Quick other question. My child says that when every time I ask her if she has homework, she's saying that she finished already at the classroom. So it means that she's done the homework at the classroom. You allow them to do the homeworks at the classroom, or how that works?
So in my class, most of the work is done in class. I
Uh,
cannot be,
history.
I cannot know for sure what students are using at home to do their work. So I use what they do in the classroom.
Ali je rekla da
Uh,
ti ne možeš da nađeš on
that
u
has
Google
more of a,
Classroom. Mora da mu se javiš.
does that make sense?
Okay.
Yes, thank you. So that means that history,
Someone has to
they
mute.
won't have
Svake nedelje
Yes.
kaže da stavlja zadatke.
Hold on a second.
Okay, sorry, someone was on mute. Okay, so it means that in history they won't have homework. They will done everything at school, at the classroom.
Yeah, but if they don't, it's homework.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, unless I say otherwise.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Mr. J, may I ask a question, please?
of course.
So I have the twin boys, Leonidas and Victor, and they told me that on Google Classroom right now there is some work, and they said that they should not continue doing that work. And I told them, well, if you're gonna read that, you're gonna continue reading tomorrow, why don't you read it and for tomorrow, so that way you know what needs to be done and answer the question. They said, no. If we're gonna do it, then Mr. J is gonna tell us, don't do it. Why did you do it? Because he has very strict
Directly.
he has very strict directions that you're not supposed to do whatever he said. Stop. That means stop. Is that correct?
Absolutely correct. Mr. Lin, can you make me a co-host, please?
Yes, give me a second.
Thanks.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Absolutely correct.
Done.
So they can't move on to another assignment or another part of the assignment unless I tell them that they can. I have no problem with them reading the next lesson. They can do that. But if I'm telling them that we're working on KWL on Wednesday, then KWL needs not to be done until Wednesday.
Okay. How do I know that they actually finished the work in school and that they don't have a homework? Is there a way to know that?
So if students can log in, if it's on Google Classroom, if it happens to be a week that it's on Google Classroom, if students can log in as themselves in front of you at home, you can see if it's done. And you'll also know because you'll be checking wherever they wrote their homework. That you will be checking their planner. Today, a lot of students wrote it down in their, like on a piece of paper or a loose leaf or something, because the planners haven't arrived and they didn't get brand new planner sheets yesterday. So
I see. Mhm.
And I told them, I said, whatever homeroom you have, like, you have to write down your homework somewhere. So ask them where their homework is when they come home, and that's how you'll know. We're trying to build up their accountability and their responsibility, right? And that's a part of it.
Yes, that's right. It's just I was wondering if there's a way for me to check just in case. I know that they're telling me this needs to be done or that doesn't have to be done. But again, it's just beginning of the school, and we're still kind of getting into it. And I was wondering if there's any way I can just double check, make sure that they do what they're supposed to do.
Of course, yeah. No problem.
Thank you.
Lynn, let's move on. Okay. So for history in this year, first of all, it's history, not social studies. Not social studies. The report card and the schedule and everything official will say social studies, but it is history. I'm teaching history, and there's a big difference. So this year in history, students will build literacy and complex thinking skills through independent and collaborative reading and writing projects. Most of what we do in history and most of what we read is nonfiction. There are going to be occasions where they will be studying fiction or fantasy or creation myths, etc. We're also going to learn. We're also going to learn how to make an argument and defend the argument through debating. And following the rules and the norms of positive discourse, right? And collaboration. They're also going to be seeing that the world through the eyes of others. So building empathy and cultural awareness. The ongoing theme is power dynamics. And some of the topics that we're going to be studying include current events, natural resources, the use of natural resources, human impact on the environment, struggles for control, and geography. In 6th grade, we're going to be studying early human civilization, world religions, the Golden Age, and struggles for power, as well as interactions and trade among Eastern Hemisphere societies. We're also going to be engaging in project-based learning about mid-year, where we're going to be creating a micronation from scratch. We will try to plan as many trips as we can throughout the year because we believe that learning takes place outside of the classroom as well. Sterling, next slide. Thank you. We went over this already. Next slide. Next slide, Ms. Owen, please. Thank you. Okay, we went over the materials. Keep going. Okay, most parents are already invited to the Google Classroom for my class. These are some of the assessments on what we'll be focusing on. So class discourse, behavior, how they interact, how they speak. Do they speak with respect to each other? Do they disagree in a positive way? All of that will take into account of their grade, plus quick writes, exit tickets, and projects. Okay, if anyone needs to email me, the email address is on the school website. Thanks, Lynn, I'm done.
Okay, thank you, Mr. J. Next, we have science.
Mr. Lynn, Mr. D'Angelo is not here, so I'm going to read his
okay.
science slides.
No problem.
Can I go first, please, and then I'll go back to him because I also have to leave and go to 7th grade?
Sure. Did I just have it here or go to your slide?
My slides should be on yours. Okay, here we go. Hello, everyone. My name is Lisa Bobian. All the students call me Miss Lisa. I'm the 7th grade ELA and ICT teacher for history class. And I also pull out students for 6th and 7th grade sets. I've been with AOC for 7 years. I do a lot of different things with the students, and I also run the after-school program. With social studies for 7th grade, if your child is in the ICT class, I pull them out separately. We do the same content, but just taught in a different way. But we cover all of the same materials in social studies. 6th grade sets, the students, I see most of the students two to three times a week, and we work on different ELA skills according to their IEP. Any questions? Good. Okay, so I'll go back to Mr. D'Angelo's. Okay, so Mr. D'Angelo couldn't be here. He is the science teacher for 6th grade and 7th grade. So what is science? Is the process of learning about the natural world through observations and experimentation. Scientists use evidence along with active thinking to explain what is happening in the natural world. So what students will be working on, Unit 1, electricity and magnetism. Unit 2, engineering and energy transformation, and Unit 3, ecosystems. So he just has a couple of things that he's going to be working on. Is there another slide?
Yes.
Okay. They're using the McGraw-Hill, 6th and 7th grade McGraw-Hill's Inspired Science. Someone's asking about the password for McGraw-Hill. I believe the passwords have been given out to the students. There was something that happened with McGraw-Hill, so I don't know if the passwords have changed, but we can find out for you and give you that information. It says Inspired Science empowers students to explore and learn from our world's amazing natural phenomenon in exciting hands-on ways. Inspired Science brings science off of the page and beyond the four walls of the classroom. It goes much further as it dives deep into incredible natural phenomenon all around us to spark students' imagination and inspire success. I know this the science class is very interactive. They use the science book, but they do a lot of hands-on work to keep the students engaged with science. Any questions about science? Is there another slide, or is he done?
That's it.
Okay. So I don't know how much I could answer for him for science, but I'll try if anyone has any questions. You're muted if you're trying to speak.
I thought that somebody else wanted to talk.
Oh.
So I do have a question about the project, but I don't think you're gonna be able to answer.
The science fair project?
Yes.
Yeah, I know it's due in December. They're just working on it. They should have their hypothesis down and their
material
science statement. Yeah, but
yes.
I mean, they're working on it now, but it's not until December. But they're just, they have a lot of time to work on that. I do know that.
Okay, but do they supposed to start the actual experiment now so they can finish, so they can know what to write, or what does the teacher expect? Right.
Sorry.
I can add on to that because hi everybody.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Sorry, I was a 7th grader and I need to go back to 7th grade, but I'm Miss Reyes. I work with science, but 7th grade. So I'm the math sets teacher, and then also I do 6th and 7th. I do 6th and 7th math sets, and then I do 7th ICT science and math. So I can speak to the science because it's similar to what they're doing in 6th grade. So just like Ms. Lisa said, the project is due in December. They're slowly working towards it, and they can begin doing the experiment, especially if it's a project that's going to take some time. Like if you're using like a seed, or like trying to grow like a flower, or whatever your project is. If it's going to take time, then they should definitely be starting now. But every day, or at least like once a week, Mr. D'Angelo does give the students time to continue building on to their project. So just like Ms. Lisa said, they did the hypothesis, they wrote the state of the problem. They've been doing a lot of like slides work and writing down like their materials. What steps are they going to need? What specific things do they need? And some students have already started working on them. So if your child wants to start now, they can feel free to start now. That way they're ahead.
Got it. Thank you very much.
All right, Ms. Reyes.
I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm sorry. I'm also Victor and Inais's father. Concerning the science project, my concern is more about what percentage is broken down to when it comes to their grade. The presentation, I'm pretty sure the science project and stuff. How is that broken down as far as scoring, as far as grading it?
I don't know the answer to that question, but I can definitely speak to Mr. D'Angelo and see how the grading stuff works, but I do not know the answer.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to tell you also that Google Classroom is not just for the students. Parents can sign up to Google Classroom and feel free to message the teacher through Google Classroom.
Understood. Thank you.
Right.
Yes, we do that.
Same email and password that they use for Google Classroom, so we can have two Google Classroom open at the same time. I'm
sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't hear.
sorry, so we can use the same like Google Classroom they're using. We can download it on our phones and have it at the same time they're using at the school as well.
Yes, you can
Yes.
you can have you can get messages on your phone. You can download the app to your phone so you can know what's going on right immediately.
Okay, thank you so much.
I'm sorry. I think the question was, do we have to log into Google Classroom using the student's email, or do we log in on our personal Google email and like join the class? I think that was more like the
Oh, I'm
question.
sorry. Yeah, the parents should get an invite. You should be invited, and it's with your email.
And if we did not receive that invite, who do we contact for that? Because I haven't.
Okay, you can contact the office and they can let the teacher know, because they can just send you another invite. It's just as simple as just press an invite.
And I'm sorry. So just, I guess, with the homeroom teacher, Mr. Lin, he'll send the invite that will access everything, or personally, everybody has to send us the invitation?
You have to send it personally to each parent.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And every teacher has to send it, or just one at the office, that's it?
No, it's for each class has their own Google Classroom. So for each teacher, you would get a separate invite.
Okay, thank you.
Recess? Hi, Miss Lisa. I have a question. Can you please explain about ICT program?
The ICT classroom is not in 6th grade. We no longer have an ICT class in 6th grade. We have ICT in 7th grade and 8th grade. And that's for students who have an IEP and they have special needs. And so they're in those classrooms and they get additional services from SETS providers.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, I have a question concerning that. What do you mean by special needs? Because one of my boys has a stuttering issue, and we want to know if that's being addressed as well.
They have to be classified with one of the 13 categories to get an IEP, and that's through the DOE. You have to go through evaluation and different things. It's not that if he's stuttering and you just want services for that, you have to have speech on his IEP that says he has to get that, and then it's mandated that he would get those services.
I see. Okay, thank you.
But feel free to, speak to someone at the school, Kevin Fabrizi, for instance, if you want that to be looked into.
Mr. Fabrizi, correct?
Yes.
Okay. My wife is the one that can help me with that. But definitely, it's good to know that I can reach someone there about that. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Lisa, I'm sorry to jump in, but you and Miss Lauren are being pulled into 7th grade. They're waiting.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. Good night,
All right.
everyone.
I guess I will go next because
night.
Miss Marquis was in the top, but then no, she's now being pulled. Okay. So hello, parents. My name is Mr. Lin. I'm the 6th grade ELA teacher. Okay. I won't read everything to you over here, but pretty much the plan is to use lots of different resources. Okay. We have Common Lit. We have 4 novels. The giver is actually going to be in grade 7, so at least it'll be Bud Not Buddy, I Am Malala, and Fever 1793. Students will not read the entire novel, but just I would say like important key passages. Okay, the main use this year will be McGraw Hill. Okay, as far as the major curriculum for students to like build upon their reading skills, reading and writing skills. Okay. Students receive the login today, and I know that 2 classes were able to go log in today, and then the last one, 6th grade, will then log in tomorrow. Okay, but starting next week, the plan is to go use that website at least twice a week to go build on different skills. Meanwhile, we're now just starting the novel But Not Buddy. Every day they are working on a document either on the Chromebook or on handout, printout too. I'm trying to mix in everything from like grammar, vocabulary, critical reading skills. Today, we had a Socratic seminar in one of my classes as well. So every day there'll be chances for them to go and speak out loud, to go and really write to. Intense paragraph writing will be done in class once a week. Okay. Homework, I try to give at least 3 times a week, with at least 1 or 2 days to make up as well. Okay. But homework should take no longer than 10 minutes. Okay. Parents, you can go and reach out to me either by way of email or by way of a class dojo. Okay. And oh, I'm sorry, go back over here too. And yeah, the main thing for me this year was that I'm trying to incorporate more writing and more grammar. Okay, taking a look at the ELA state test, there's a heavy emphasis on poetry, and also trying to read critically. So I'm trying to have more lessons where students can really annotate, not just highlight, but actually write down comments too, exchange different ideas by talking to the partners as well. So there's lots of collaboration in the class as well. The intense test prep will take place later on, but my thinking is that over time that the child can learn all these skills from September until April, so that they are not too bombarded with all the test prep. Okay, there's a chance also to write essays as well, but the main thing is that they will be learning how to master and write a 2-point paragraph where they are incorporating evidence from the books that we read. Are there any questions at all on ELA?
So, Mr. Lin, quick question concerning when you say you issue homework. Is it going to be a routine where you issue homework on a certain day, or concerning subject? So, an example, my kids will always come to me and say to me, "Oh, we have no homework on Friday." I mean, I'm trying to understand that.
I would say based on the lesson. So for example, McGraw-Hill. Okay, I know on my end that not every student has access to the internet or a Chromebook. So everything for that will be done in the classroom. But Not Buddy, I can. The book is also in the classroom as well, the classroom. But in that case, I can maybe on some days make copies of a certain chapter. So I will always find a way for students either to work on the material in the classroom, or if need be, make copies for them to go bring home.
Okay, so they will have a copy with them. Okay, that's what I'm trying to understand. So I don't want them coming to me telling me, Mr. Lin told me that I have to read this and I don't have it. So, okay, good. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. And again, unlike last year, so last year I actually let students take home the books, but then because many of the books came home and came back to school in like not so great condition, that's why I'm having the books to go stay in the classroom.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a digital copy of But Not Buddy. If I can, then I can give students the PDF for that too. And again, if not, then all the work that they'll do for that book will be done primarily in the classroom. That's all.
Okay, I had a question too. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Regarding this Buddy Not Buddy, because my son did not turn that in.
Mhm.
And I was discussing that with him today. He said that there was no reading material, that it couldn't be done at home. And he said he messaged you on Google Classroom and there was no response as of yet.
I'm not sure. Yeah, so I'm not sure which assignment that he's referring to. So far, there's been 2 assignments. One's a handouts, and one's a document where the students are working on that document in class.
I don't know, it says here. Oh, okay. So it says classwork, Buddy Not Buddy, and that's due the 26th.
That might, yeah. So that is only done in the class, not at home.
No, but he didn't turn in homework 1, Buddy Not Buddy background handout sheet.
Okay, so that one was given out last week. If he needs a copy, I can give it to him tomorrow.
Okay, I will make him receive another copy, I guess, and complete it. It's just like it's very hard. I don't know. It's first time middle school in 6th grade, so it's very hard actually calculating with the students. I don't know if other parents have the issue, whether homework was given for specific classes. Some are saying that it's supposed to be done in school. They're not allowed to bring textbooks. So it's just a lot of back and forth. And that's why I guess myself, I need more information and more in depth as to actually what is being.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you with that. It's the same issue I'm having with my kids as well.
I would say
Same
this,
here. I
yeah.
sent an email today and I received word back that we should be on Class Dojo. Did anybody receive a notification for that to sign in?
No, and I don't even
No.
think Class Dojo was
No.
downloaded on. I don't even have that. So
So
Class
Same
parents,
Dojo.
here. So I had,
I
when
got
I
it.
sent the email, I said the same thing, that there was multiple children reaching out via Google Classrooms. That's what I saw.
so parents on my end, all my classes use Class Dojo. I don't know about every other teacher, okay? But right now I'm talking to parents either by way of email or Class Dojo. I find the Class Dojo platform to be much easier. So if any of you need an invite, I can either give it to you today or give it to your child in class tomorrow.
If I can interrupt, I think once the students receive, or once the school receives the planners, homework will be a little bit more streamlined. They'll have one space to put all of their homework for every class, and if a teacher says there's no homework today, then they should write like no homework in that, in that box, so that there's no. And I believe Mr. Gerard is the counselor who's going to be working with the sixth grade to get them organized in that department. So hopefully
That's an excellent idea.
once the planners come in, Mr. Gerard will be like working with them to, the skills and strategies on how to stay organized and get your homework done. But I think once those planners get in, it'll be a little bit more organized.
Can I ask a
Okay.
question? Mr.
Go
Lin,
ahead.
can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
About the computer things for like homework. When we have homework, I'm wondering, when I put my school account in, can you see my screen?
I can see the screens only of students who use the school Chromebooks.
So if I'm on my personal computer, then you won't be able to see my screen?
Correct. Yes, but
Okay.
I believe that Mrs. Schroeder, who is the IT person in school, only allows the use of school issued Chromebooks to be used in school. So
Wait, but like when I'm at home doing my homework, is that okay?
yeah, yes, of
Yeah,
course,
so
yes,
Okay, so
yes,
you guys
yes,
won't,
yes.
so you can't see my screen at all, even if
No,
you try to? Oh, okay.
not at home. No. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Sorry for interrupting.
Okay,
Sorry,
bye.
Miss Furby.
Okay.
No, that's okay.
Mr.
Can I
Mr.
just
Lin,
actually say something really
so
quick about the Bud Not Buddy? Mr. Lin, I have found a digital copy.
Okay.
So remind me tomorrow and I will upload it to Google Classroom.
Okay.
So
Thank
if
you. Great.
anybody wants to read it at home, they can.
Great. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay. Go ahead, ma'am.
they just answer because you just said that you found the digital copy of the but not body. I was wondering if I should just go to the library and get the book so that way they have it on hand.
Yeah. Parents, moving forward, so because we plan to use the McGraw-Hill platform websites, but not buddy will be taught and read here and there. Okay. But I will say that again, it's me moving forward, that the McGraw-Hill website has lots of like poetry, short stories, nonfiction text. So because the school wants to go in that direction, okay, it'll be only maybe taught like twice a week, but not buddy. Okay. So that's the plan again, starting next week, for me at least. Okay. As far as class expectations, students should be coming to class on time, giving lots of effort every single day. So from the time that they stand out online outside the classroom is when, if you're walking into my classroom, just quietly and not saying anything at all. Okay. It's one voice at a time. So if I'm talking, no one else is speaking, and the same thing goes for students as well. When we're having a speaking activity, the students should be tracking and looking at this person talking and doing nothing else. Okay. The water in the bathroom also, only if they have to go use it, like let's say for emergency purposes, that's fine. But I know during the first few weeks that some students are getting used to middle school and might be asking to go lots. Okay, but they are encouraged to go use the bathroom and water either before period one, during the lunch break, or at the end of the school day. Okay, parents, if your child has any emergency, please let me know as far as letting them go and use the water or bathroom. Okay, work to be handed on time, of course, and I also offer some extra assignments. I haven't done so yet, but we'll probably start doing so in the next week or two. Okay. Any questions on anything here on the slide? Okay. Assessment, so students have to raise their hand, they have to go and talk in class, okay? I checking the handouts and then given to them. They also should be annotating as well in any of the handouts on the CommonLit website. Students can also annotate directly onto the websites. That makes it easier on their parts. They can also annotate on the McGraw-Hill website as well, okay? And as far as the midterm final examinations, I think the McGraw-Hill website also has a midterm and final examination based on the readings done on the sites. As far as the essays go, I think the first one I might sign might be narrative. They were writing a biography on a classmate 2 weeks ago. So that was a semi-narrative essay, but I'm going to also teach them how to do that in more detail in the next few months. But I'll say of the ones given over here, the literary essay, not so much essay, but a literary paragraph is where students will really learn to know how to, cite evidence, and then know how to write a topic sentence. So they'll learn all that, which they also have to know how to go and do for the ELA state test in April of next year. Okay. Projects, I also have lots of fun projects too. Life-size poster projects, a large annotation poetry project as well. Students also this school year will be creating their own literary term booklets. Okay, so all the projects that I have all go towards the goal of doing well on the ELA state test. Okay, and then all the skills that I now teach them in grade 6, they'll also be learning again, building off of that in grade 7 next year too. Okay, are there questions on anything on this slide? Okay. And finally, oh, that's very kind of small there, but materials needed for class. I think most of you students are having pretty good. Just a simple notebook, pencils, pens, and also a folder because I am giving out handouts as well. Chromebook is provided by the school and novels as well. So as far as on their end, just a pen, pencil, notebook, and a folder. Okay. And that's all on my end. Any questions before I hand over to Ms. McGregor?
Question. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Go ahead.
You were mentioning the planners, but they haven't received it. We're already 1 month into school, so when are we anticipating receiving those planners for the kids?
I know Miss Whitty. Miss Whitty,
Yeah.
are you there?
Miss Whitty sends, she's the assistant principal. She's said on the chat that planners they've been back ordered, that they have shipped and are expected to arrive within the week.
Yep, I see
Okay.
it. Yeah, it's in the chat.
Oh, okay. I didn't miss that. Thank you.
And Mr. Lin, do you mind if I just jump on so I could go back to 8th grade?
Yep, give me a second. Let me just go find your slides. Hold on. Okay, there you are.
Hi, everybody. My name is Christina Purby. I am the ENL teacher here at AOC. I've been here for this is my 9th year here. I started out at the elementary school, so I actually worked with a few of this year 6th graders when I had my time split a few years ago. So my job is to work with the students who speak more than one language, and English is not their first language. Every student has their own individual level, so based on their level, the support that I provide varies. So either I push into Mr. Lin's class. I will be in class 6-2 and 6-3 a few times a week to support those students. And Miss Lauren, who had to leave to go back to the 7th grade Zoom, will be working with class 6-1. So we will be pushing in and working with those group of students on the same work that Mr. Lin is working on, and the same work that Mr. J is working on in history. We're not giving extra work. Our job is to basically, make the work that they give accessible to an English language learner. So again, we're not giving any homework depending on their level. We may also work with them in a pull-out group during a different period during the day to work on English language. So for example, listening, reading, writing, and speaking. That's about it for me. Anybody have any questions? Nope. All right, it was nice to meet everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Mr.
Survey. Thank you. Okay. That was in Spanish version, and we rate. Okay, let me go back to math. Miss McGregor, you're up. Are you there?
Hey, good evening. This is Miss McGregor. I teach classes 601, 602, 603. Those are the 3 math classes for grade 6. You can continue, Mr. Lynn.
Okay, sorry.
Mhm.
There you go.
Okay, so I'm just a brief summary of the 8 main areas of math that they explore for the year. Area and surface area. It builds on area, which they learned earlier in 4th and 5th grade, because we're now dealing with surface area of 3-dimensional objects in the form of something called nets, which is when you take a 3-dimensional object and flatten it. So computing, for instance, the surface area of a gift box or something, where you can imagine how much paper it would take to cover a gift box, is what you do when you're finding surface area. It takes the study of area that they've done to a slightly higher level. And then, of course, ratios is a main part. The ratio of cats to dogs and whatever is 8 to 10 or something. And ratios are also very important for what they'll be doing in 7th grade. A lot of this is foundational for what they'll be doing in higher grades. Of course, rates and percentages are a big part of what they'll be learning this year. They've been working with fractions for some time, but dividing fractions is conceptually different from adding fractions and subtracting fractions and even multiplying them. So we'll be doing something with dividing fractions. That's when we reintroduce fractions. Just a word on fractions, by the way, we've started with fractions because fractions kind of jump into everything. So I am not certain, because we're still very early in the year, how much everyone knows about fractions. So before we actually formally get into the 6th grade curriculum, I always like to begin a little bit with things like that, with fractions. Then, of course, there's base 10 arithmetic, which is just, figuring out things like, the decimal system and relating it also to fractions and percents. And then expressions and equations, which is something I actually sprinkle throughout the year, and I'll get back to that, dealing with algebraic equations and expressions that they'll be using again in 7th grade and especially in grade 8. Rational numbers, we're moving through the whole number line. Up until now, most children deal primarily with the 0 and up, and now we'll be going into 0 and before. And it involves kind of a little bit of a shift in how they think about numbers. And then finally, we'll be doing data sets and distributions. That is mainly post-test material. So that's towards the end of the year, although we've begun collecting data for a year-long project, which I'll talk about a little later if you would like to hear about that. So it's just giving them basic understanding of things like probability and statistics. Okay. Are there any questions on this so far? Now continue. No. Okay. Mr. Lynn, if you could go to the next slide. All right, so these are just some general expectations for the class itself. I like to make sure that the downtime is very minimal in my class. I don't like a lot of lost time or, time for kids to like breaks and stuff. We run with a pretty short period and it's very, tight. So we have to make sure that most of the time that we are in there, we are, actually working. My main I guess, philosophy, and this has been like almost throughout my whole life of teaching, is don't do anything to interfere with teaching or learning. And that means a bunch of things. Have your supplies, because when children have to raise their hand to get a notebook that they left in another classroom, that kind of interferes with the flow of the teaching. It interferes with the class of the teacher whose room they must enter to pick up the things they've forgotten. Also, if, children are talking excessively in class, that of course interferes with teaching or learning. So make sure that we try to protect teaching and learning in the class. I tell them that they always have time outside in their free time to talk, to, let their hair down, etc. But the class, they aren't work. Another one, this is one is even older than that one, is respect yourself, your teachers, your colleagues, and your space. which means basically yourself, in that the way you behave yourself and comport yourself in class reflects on you. And of course, it reflects on your family as well. And I make them very cognizant of that. I know that your children are great, by the way. I know that you invest a lot in them. But sometimes when children, get a little bit, comfortable, sometimes they forget that everything they do does reflect on their families. And I want them to remember that, not even just for this year, but permanently. I think it's something that young people need to keep in mind always. Respecting your teachers, we are here to help them. We are here to work with you to make sure that they become, well-educated and productive citizens. Your colleagues, of course, their other fellow classmates, I like to tell them that they also have to think about their classmates as other teachers in the room. So which means that when I'm speaking, of course, my rule is please do not speak over my voice. And when your colleagues are speaking, give them your attention as well. And I expect that when they are speaking, the colleagues will reciprocate. And of course, there's space. We'd like to keep the room, making sure you pick up after yourself and you push your chair in and, remain cognizant of the fact that other children have to use your space. Because we share it among 3 different classes. So what this basically boils down to, I just picked some of the major things that we need to do in our class. Number 1, have your necessary materials. We generally use a homeschool notebook. The notebooks, I think that some of the parents may have gotten the spiral bound. I'll go into that a little later, but we've got many of these. These are the composition notebooks. One is kept in the classroom. It doesn't leave the classroom. The other one is the only one that they carry back and forth. And they bring pencils. And I prefer a self-contained sharpener if possible, because that keeps kids from having to get up and sharpen, which of course interferes with teaching and learning. Following instructions, of course, as I told them, I don't like to spend a lot of time going back and forth on what we have to do. The kids have been great with this so far. I asked them, to be quiet, give me your attention, and they're very good about following through. Doing homework independently. I know that you may feel sometimes that if a child is struggling a little bit, that you may need to step in. It's probably preferable that you do as little of that as possible, because these are things that they're going to have to learn independently. And also, I want to train them. And one of the things, of course, math is very good at helping kids do, is sort of figuring out the answer. I believe there's an answer to every problem. And sometimes if kids don't learn that kind of difficult process of getting to the end of a solution, it is something that I think permeates throughout life. Problem solving is something you don't do only in math. You do it everywhere. So in math is a great time to learn, even though a problem seems to have no solution. You want to press through until you find a solution. If there's help needed for a child, I'm very happy to give kids a little extra time here and there. We've done online in the evening. That works sometimes. If that's something that you think you could do, we'll have to talk about that later. But I've done that also. If a child is really having trouble dividing a fraction or something, I don't have a problem giving them a little time off hours to sit down and walk through it. I also tell them one of the most important things, and this is why I like to have the homeschool notebook, is when we're learning a new topic, your main thing is you want to write down everything that I put on the board. Your brain may not be able to wrap around it immediately, but what happens is when you don't follow something that's happening right away, given a little time when you go home and review your notes, your brain starts to catch up to it. So if they sort of withdraw and find out that they're not, they don't understanding what's going on, sometimes a kid will sit back and say, I don't understand this. Let me sit back. I don't get it. And I'm saying, do not sit back. You want to lean forward and just keep taking notes. What will happen later on is you'll begin to figure out what went on, even if it doesn't happen in the moment. And also, this is something too in E that I value very deeply. When children are taught a topic, some will pick it up a little faster than others. If that is the case, I've asked them, please, to step around the room. If a kid says, oh, hey, Ms. McGregor, I'm done with this page of fractions, whatever, I'm like, could you check with your colleagues and see if anyone needs help? The reason simply being, if 5 of us are succeeding and 20 of us are not, we are not succeeding. If 20 of us are succeeding and 5 of us are not, we are not succeeding. everyone has to say, okay, I've learned it. Now I'm going to go make sure that someone else learns it. The second thing I tell them on that is we do not give answers to our colleagues. We try to ask them questions that get their brain going. So what you want to do is help your colleague kind of get to where you are by helping their brain start moving so they can see the solution that you were able to see. So help your colleagues, not by just saying, okay, this is 5 and this one is 10. Tell them, how do you think what's your answer? How did you get that answer? Here's something you might try and see what answer you get to kind of help them figure out the path themselves. Okay, just the next page, Mr. Lin.
Yep.
Okay, so just in terms of the supplies, the homeschool notebook, I mentioned that there were some, a number of the children I noticed brought the spiral notebooks, which we will use because there are in-class things that we do where I ask them, okay, here are 3 problems. I need you to do them quickly and we'll check them. And that spiral notebook is great for that. However, there are 2 mainstays of my classroom is this notebook, the homeschool notebook. I call it the homeschool notebook because it literally goes from home to school, back and forth. It goes home, they pull it out, they review their notes, and they put it right back in their book bag. They bring it to class the next day. If we are learning a new topic, this is not a homeschool notebook, so I can't show you the layout. We started to put them together today. It's kind of time consuming, but they will have a table of contents, which they will say, okay, on March 3rd, Ms. McGregor was teaching how to evaluate an expression, and it was on page whatever, because they will number the pages. So they can use it as a way to go back to their notes if they want to get a little refresher in their mind of what we did when we were learning how to evaluate an expression. And the next in the back of that same notebook, there will be space for math vocabulary. In times past, I haven't been able always to do this the way I wanted to, and I found that it's much better to make sure they have their vocabulary. So the back of that same book will be used to maintain their math vocabulary because math has terms that are specific to the procedures used in it. The second notebook is the problem of the day notebook. I will give them just problems of the day. We haven't started using them yet. We will soon. It'll be clipped out and glued into the book. They'll show their solutions. They'll give their answers and show step by step how they got their solutions, or sometimes they're asked to explain verbally how they got their solutions. And that's kept in a book that I can review from time to time to see how they're proceeding with their problem solving skills. And then, and again, the reason I like these notebooks is because pages are never torn out. Spiral notebooks are by nature designed to tear out pages. These are meant to be kept. I have books like these. I've never used anything else for my own schooling, and I've had them for years. So those pages will stay in, and I've told them already they can't tear pages out. Finally, on Google Classroom, I'll put down now announcements in there to say, okay, here's what you want to do for, today. I know there was a little problem a couple of days ago with the kids accessing a page that I'd given out in class. I will generally give out any hard pages in class, but there might be a kid or two who was not in class, and maybe if they need to, they can, if there's a printer available at home, print it out and work from that. So I'll make that blank page available to them. Also, if there's just a video they should watch or something that they need to review before class, I'll post it in the Google Classroom. I do not give homework every single night. I tend to give homework about maybe 2 or 3 times a week. It depends on the topic. Last night they had some work on finding the greatest common factor. And today we started on just general factors, and today we're moving into greatest common factor. And some of them took some things home that they weren't able to finish in class. I want to review those briefly. So I said, finish it at home. It wasn't like the assignment that I give out, but because it wasn't finished in class, I allowed them to take it home. And we'll be talking about that tomorrow. Mr. Lin, is there anything else beyond this?
Let me see.
I think this is pretty much it.
That's it. Yep.
That's it. Okay. Were there any questions? And by the way, for contacting me, I prefer email. I tend to check it in the evening. So if you don't hear from me right away, I did see some emails today and I will be checking them and I'll be responding to you right away.
I'd like to say I want to thank you very much for your comments when it comes to them understanding that they have to be responsible and respecting others. I really appreciate that because that's something I teach my boys all the time. But I ask that for you and your colleagues that if you do see them acting a certain way or not listening to you, please let us know. I know that when kids are on their own, when their parents are not there, they like to go venture. They like to be more bold. They like to be more aggressive because they know mommy and daddy is not there. But if you can pass that along to us, I really appreciate it.
I'm glad to hear you're on top of them that way, Mr. Padilla. And
I agree with that too.
yes, I find the boys actually to be great. They're very straightforward, and I like dealing with them in that regard. I
Mr.
will
Vega,
certainly
I
be
have
happy
a
to talk about
question.
that if necessary. Who's talking there?
Fabiana.
Fabiana, I thought that was you. How are you, sweetheart?
I
Before you
have
go
a
on,
question.
1 second, baby. I'm sorry, 1 second. Mr. Padilla, does that address what you wanted to say?
No, it did. It did. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, and if you have any questions, if you want to hear it, you just reach out to me.
I either myself or my wife will reach out to you. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Bye.
Fabiana, what's up, sweetie?
I have a question about the notebooks. When are we going to use them?
Okay, did you notice we were starting to put them together today?
No.
You guys, it wasn't you guys, it was 603. So today we had, sometimes we have a double class, sometimes we have a single class. This is for the parents also, Fabiana. Today we used our double class to start putting the notebooks together because it was kind of a time-consuming thing. 601 had a double class today. 603 will have a double class. Let me say 603 had a double class today. 601 has a double class again, I think, on Thursday. And then 602 has a double class on Mondays. So only on those days, I'm going to see if we have time on a single day, but it's going to be tough to do it on a single day. And then also I'm giving everybody time to bring them in. Some parents did send in the spirals, but when I told the kids how much we needed these, they did go home, did a great job, brought their books in. Even if you don't have a brand new one, if you have a used one that still has plenty of pages in, maybe used by an older sibling, you can send that in too. If it's maybe about 10, 12 pages used, I know how to cut them out so they do not tear apart the rest of the book, and we can use those books. I even have a few in my classroom that are lightly used, and I'll let the kids have those if they don't have access to one right away. So we'll be doing that soon, honey. We'll be gluing those pages in, and then we can start.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, teacher, what books are you talking about? I just had a cut out on the Wi-Fi, sorry.
Oh, I was talking about the there are two notebooks. Did you hear about the two notebooks? And I use this kind, the composition notebooks where the pages are sewn in, because the ones that are spiral, the pages just fall out too easily, especially because some of those notebooks, one of the notebooks requires us to glue things in and write commentary on it. And that would fall apart pretty quickly. So the one that stays in the classroom, they're not carrying it around, so it's not like just adding weight to their bag. The one that's called the Problem of the Day book that we glue problems in, that stays in the classroom. And the other one, the homeschool notebook, is the one they write notes in, put the vocabulary in, anything that they're learning that's new, they'll put it in the homeschool notebook. And that one goes back and forth with them in their bag. They bring it to school, they bring it to class, and they have to have that every day.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Are there any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you so much. You know how to reach me. You can just send me emails. I can respond to you as quickly as I can.
Hi, I'm sorry. I
yes.
just had a quick question. Where do we find your email? Is it in the website of the school?
There is a page, I think, here that's in the slide projection that has all the emails. Mr. Lin, could you go back to my first page? I don't know if I had it there. Maybe I took it out, or maybe it's still there. The very first page, it might be. No, I took it out. So anyway, there is a page that has my address. It's just kmcgregor@academyofthecity.org. The school can give you my email address for sure. And that's the best way to reach me.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Felipe's mom, I think, had a question about trips. I don't know
Yes,
if
hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I was actually wondering if
Mhm.
they're going to have any field trips
Do you mean for
during
math or for just
no,
in
no, for
general?
just in general.
Yes, I know that there are some that the teachers are thinking of. I don't have any plan just yet, but I know especially for history and social, for history, I'm sorry, and ELA, they tend to have like cultural themed or book themed trips planned. Mr. Lin, you might want to say something about that, or Mr. Jesse, you might
Because
have
we are
something to
in this,
say, but
yeah, we're in the
Mhm,
subject of math, and
mhm.
in the city there is a very cool museum of
Math
math.
museum. Hmm.
And I think it's a very, very, very cool, and it would be a good idea to expose the kids to this
Yeah,
museum, right? Because
yeah.
I know not everybody likes math, like me included. I'm not good at it. But I
Well,
think it's like visiting the museum made me realize that, yeah, if you put a little bit more effort, you can
mhm.
understand a little bit more. So it's just a thought that it could be a good idea to bring him there.
And as you said and I like that. I've heard of the museum, and I actually have not gone. Oh, sorry, I really have not gone. But
Well,
I have
yeah.
been. I looked into it, and at the time, this class that I had wasn't really ready for it, so I didn't take it with that class. They wouldn't have appreciated it. They might now. They're a little older, but
Mhm.
I'm going to look at it with the class that I have now. Every year, I say if it's the right class, I'll take them. But something you said, I just want to add one last thing before the next person comes up. One thing I am doing this year is we're going to be making up little books, and I'm still trying to figure out how to work the introduction, but the book is going to be like Math Around Us. One of the topics that I really want to push this year is how embedded into the environment mathematics actually is. And children don't often see it because they think of math as something they do throwing some numbers around in a class. And last year we had labs specifically to help them see, well, here are some ways that you use math. We had like a juice mixing lab for ratios. We had a juice mixing lab, it was for fractions, I'm sorry, a color mixing lab for ratios, and some other things that help them to see, here's what you use math for in real life. And I want to push that a little bit more so children get a chance to see what it is. And even in a walk down the street where you can see math expressed in the space around you. So we'll be making little booklets for that too. I have all the materials. We just need to find a day that we can get that started. So yes. Thank you so much.
Just one more thing on the
Mhm.
field trip. So last year, grade six went on 2 trips. Miss Marquis, who was the L teacher over here in the school, one of them,
Mhm.
she brought students to the Shirazi Karahi House, a Pakistani restaurant, since we went I Am Malala last year. And the
Mhm.
plan is to bring them again this year. Okay. I tried really, really hard to bring the kids last year to the United Nations, but that's actually a very, very difficult trip to plan. So that's a maybe. And then the other trip too is I brought the grade six students last year to the Museum of the Moving Image last year in Astoria. Okay, they had lots of fun. That was around mid to late June. So the planning, at least for me, is to bring them again to the same restaurant and the same museum this year. But when I don't know exactly, but I'm assuming probably after all the test prep, maybe around like past April. But as of now, I don't know the exact dates. That's all. All right, parents. I think there was maybe a few more slides over here. Ms. Reyes, are you there? Oh, I think she
I think she
maybe.
went to seventh
Okay, that's
grade.
fine. Okay, let me see over
Mhm.
anything else over here. So Ms. Reyes, Mr. Hader, are you there?
Yes, I am
Okay,
here.
go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Miss Maria Tejeda. I am the ELA Learning Specialist. So I provide ELA reading and writing support to students who are performing below their grade levels. So I either pull them out in a small groups for the intervention and the support. In that case, I will provide my own materials so that I help them grow on their standards and skills. So I'm Dominican. I migrated to the United States as a teen. I have a psychology degree from Brooklyn College and a master's in education from Framingham State University. I joined the AOC in 2014. So I started out in the elementary school, and once the middle school opened, I moved to middle school. I've been teaching for over 20 years in grades, the lower grades here at AOC and at other schools from 3rd to 7th grade. And I have experience nationally as well as internationally. I enjoy reading, traveling, and spending time with family and friends when I have, spare time. It will be a pleasure to be able to teach your students and help them improve in their performance. I have already started pulling some of them out. I will either push into the classroom or pull them out. I provide services to all grade levels, 6th through 8th. And I will be also providing the services to all 6th graders, 601, 602, and 603. You will be receiving a letter from me if your child is receiving support. We usually we use the data from, all the assessments that they have in order to see what are the students that, really need the assistance. And then we provide it. And I started this week. Okay, if you have any questions at the end of this presentation, there is a slide with my email. I will be sending a letter, and in the letter I've also included my email. I hope you have a wonderful evening.
And again, similar to Mr. Heda, I began tutoring last week. The students took the NWEA examination in math and ELA, but so on my end at least, the reading parts, I looked at the scores and will be focusing my attention on those students who need it. Okay, so again, I began last week and will be again pulling out students from different classes during the school day. I'm targeting like at least once a week per class. And then that'll probably be increased as we get closer to the state test in April. Okay. One thing I also did last year too was I also offered online tutoring on Zoom. Okay. For free again in the months of prior. So if any of you are have an interest in doing that, just please email me at all. Okay. I believe that's it as far as speakers. So parents, do you have any more questions for anyone? Okay, if there are no questions, I see in the chat. Give me a second over here. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you again for coming to ALC's middle school curriculum nights. Okay, bye, parents. Good evening. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.